Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Novice to Legendary recap episodes. In these episodes, I talk about what's gone on in the past session and some things that I would like to see. I'd like to try and do or see happen in the next session. So, quick little rundown here. So we spent the entire session exploring more of the creepy, nasty tower of living dead bodies that's causing all sorts of trouble in Mayor Porta. And we had a couple of fights. One was with like this ghoul thing with like this. It sounded like it had a metallic face from the description we got, so it's kind of surprising that we were able to decapitate him. But then again, the decapitation did come from Baheshtur with his like flame tongue sword. So it's a thing. Rolled high, did well enough, and it was, how do you want to do this? So that's what they went with. Those are some of the most magical words you can ever hear, isn't it? How do you want to do this? It's right up there with, I love you, honey, I'm sorry, and how do you want your steak? Those are just some of the most wonderful phrases in the English language. Anyways, so we kill this thing in its like chambers. We find some nifty stuff, and it was a lot of there was a lot of funny stuff going on with everybody trying to figure out this trap door, this secret door that Zulid found. We had another discussion on how and why rapiers bend. We just have to keep being reminded of that. And for the first time in a long time, Shirzim actually failed any kind of a knowledge roll. I was trying to identify the body of this armored ghoul thing that we had fought, see if I could determine what it actually was. And all I got, because I rolled so bad, was it's a ghoul that's smarter than other ghouls that you've come across. So, the only information I could convey to the rest of the group was that this ghoul was just wasn't too ghoul for school, which got a lot of groans, and was told negative inspiration for you. I don't know how that works. I think we were just kind of joking around about it, but yeah. I started a bad joke contest this session. Sometimes, you just gotta see who can come up with the cheesiest jokes. So as we continued journeying through the tower, and we eventually found out where the tower was actually being built, where it actually like started from. It was like this room, had a bunch of piles of dead bodies. There's like dead bodies everywhere in this place. I know, crazy, right? Well, I mean, where else are they going to get the bodies to make the tower in the first place? But we decided to pass on that room for the time being and just continue searching the rest of the place. And we found these catacombs further down, once again full of dead bodies. I don't know where they get all these bodies. Didn't think there was that many people dying on a regular basis in Mayor Porta, but apparently they were. Probably something we'll have to find out at some point after we actually clear the tower out. I'd like to know how that got to be so many of them. Are they just was it somebody just like depopulating entire towns or what? We'll find out eventually. Anyways, Shirzim join Jag in trying to find Jag's good friend Captain Fenchurch. What? And got distracted by the smell of blood, like copious amounts of it. There was like this one room that they decided not to go into. It was kind of barred, and we could just hear like dripping. Everybody was like really worried, freaked out about what it was. It was like, well, let's not go in there yet. But once Shirzim, the resident vampire, got a whiff of blood, he's just like, he hadn't fed in a while, so all he could think to do was just charge in and get him some grub. So it played out like your usual scenario where you have like the one guy that's doing the thing, and everybody just slowly starts realizing, he's doing the thing we don't want anybody else doing right now. I wound up being a little too late because by the time anybody managed to catch up to him, he had already made it to this big old pool of blood that was in this locked room, locked-ish, and got struck down by, I said it was like a black pudding or something. I don't remember. All I remember is like you slice it and it splits into multiple parts, and it does like a really nasty pile of acid damage, which actually KO'd me at the beginning of the fight. I was actually starting to worry that I'd have to create a new character. But besides, losing all those hit points, thanks to all the acid damage, Shirzim actually also lost pretty much all of his equipment. He basically lost everything except for his magic items, which included a greater healing potion he just happened to come across. His spell books. We eventually kind of decided that he would have held on to those, but pretty much everything else was gone, including his clothes. So there we were having this big fight with the black pudding, a room that had a pool of blood, and there was a naked tiefling in the mix. The things that happened in this game, right? So, anyways, we managed to finish the fight, and Shirzim's just like, fight's over, there's blood, I'm going for it. And it turned into quite a scene, because, they've been kind of playing off the more sexual end of being a vampire. So it was it's a pretty big deal for him to get all that blood. So good thing, wound up becoming like the equivalent of a long rest. Bad, everybody pretty much got to see Shirzim get really excited, and besides the blood, Zulid was really enjoying the show. But I'm not going to lie, I got a big kick out of it. Especially these interactions that are starting to happen between Shirzim and Zulid, thanks to this little incident. And there was actually a point in the fight where Zulid was actually a little distracted. I don't know if you can hear this rubbing against the zipper on my jacket, but he was actually kept looking over to Shirzim, all distracted, yeah. And then, back at what he was going to shoot at. And afterwards, after everything was said and done, he's just went, I was really enjoying the show, but the blood was a bit much. It really dampened, it really put a damper on things. And so we will, yeah. It's, Zulid being Zulid. Really ought to be seeing these sessions to really get to know him. I swear, player just comes up with some of the best characters. But anyhow, we spent a good bit of time trying to figure out what we were going to do about Shirzim's nudity and blood coveredness, but there wasn't much to do about that because there's really no water that we could find. So to cover up, Beheshtar gave him this cloak of protection as it wasn't really for the magical effects, it was really just to cover him up. And now that cloak's going to need to get washed off because it's covering a blood-drenched tiefling. And a little bit of rope was donated and everything, so it's like kind of like a makeshift robe that was made. Again, little thing is, Shearsm just kind of looking over at Zulid and just, what the heck are you going on about, dude? And Zulid just tosses him a gold coin. I gotta tell you, I really, I really love this. Zulid's kind of becoming one of my favorite characters in the group right now, just because of all the mannerisms and everything, and just how he interacts with everybody. It's a very different dynamic from pretty much everybody else, which is great. So, after giving Shearsm some kind of covering, some kind of clothing covering him up a bit, he's still got to kind of carry his books around and everything for the time being. I'll have to keep that in mind with the next session when we go into what's probably going to be a big fight. Since we did decide to go back to the room where the tower's actually being made from the dead bodies and everything. And honestly, I think we may have already talked about the bad joke contest. I don't think anybody actually won. No, I don't think anybody did win because, everybody heard the jokes, so everybody lost. That's how it goes. So, some things I'd like to see like to try and see happening for the next session. For one, as I said, I need to keep in mind that Shearsm is literally having to carry everything like in his hands that he has with him. And for another thing, so I have to work that out. And then besides that, it's one of the things I'd actually just really like to see the tower gone. Just have it just completely fall apart, barriers gone, so Shearsm can go find that cure for vampirism that I keep hinting at. Eventually, we'll get to what it actually is. I'm not going to tell you until the rest of Hat Trick knows about it. So, is that... I'm kind of wanting to try and see what kind of relationship, this little incident at the blood pool is going to start or develop between Shearsm and Zulid. It's probably bound to be entertaining. Well, I don't know if the next session would be the right time to kind of explore that at all, since it's, like I said, it's probably going to be a big fight. I'm expecting it's going to be like mostly combat because we're going to where the whole thing started. And we'll see if, who all comes out of that. Any other things like I said, the big thing is just knocking that tower down for good and, giving us free movement throughout the world again. So, till next time, happy gaming and enjoy the road to legendary. Whatever that may be. You define it.